Last episode we spent 11.5 million on a wonder kid, but it still wasn't enough to get us into the next round of the FA Cup. And so today, with my job starting to come under some pressure, it's time to go after Europa Conference League glory. But as ever, if you're enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode. And so, with us still being in a good position in the table, fighting for that final Champions League spot, it is time for us to start getting straight down to action in the Premier League. And it's a strong start, courtesy of a late goal from Zaniolo to give us 3 points at Craven Cottage as we beat Fulham 3-2. And we follow that up with an absolute battering of Nottingham Forest at Villa Park, a 5-1 win, and it's another 3 points in the bag, before finishing off with another absolute battering. This time it's 4-1 away from home against Luton Town, and the good form continues. It's 3 wins on the bounce, it's 9 points in the bag, and not only has that cemented our place in the Champions League, but as you can see, that has somehow, some way lifted us up to top spot in the Premier League. Yes, we do have a game over Liverpool, and we have 2 games over Manchester City, but for the first time in this season, we sit top of the table, and my word, with only 11 games remaining so far in this season, is an unlikely title challenge on the horizon. Before we do that though, it is time to divert our attention back to the Europa Conference League, and back to a competition that we have a genuine opportunity of winning this season. We've been drawn against Greek side PAOK in the round of 16, and surely this is a game that we will be expected to win. And I'm feeling so confident I have decided to make wholesale changes to my usual starting 11. Martinez keeps his place in goal, but Cash starts on the right, Konza, Mings and Moreno start at the back. Douglas Luiz is partnered by Buendia and McGinn in the centre, with Wilfred Nonto starting on the left. Leon Bailey gets the nod on the right, and Santiago Jimenez will hopefully continue his fine form up front as he leads the line for us. Into the feet of Leon Bailey, who turns really nicely, and he's got no one really trying to put a challenge in, so he plays it off to Santiago Jimenez, who lays it back into Buendia. Back into Bailey though. Bailey shifts it onto his left and lines up a strike straight at the goalkeeper, but early warning signs for the Greek side. Down the line into Matty Cash, and already you can see they've pretty much got every single player in their own half. I think this is going to be a backs to the walls job all game, and we are going to have to try and see if we can knock down a stubborn Greek wall. And as you can see, with crosses like that, we're not going to get anywhere close to doing so. Into Wilfred Nonto, we'll be hoping to try and see if he can get his first assist or goal in an Aston Villa shirt so far today. And he's going to spray a ball right the way over to the right-hand side. Looked for a ball into Matty Cash. Eventually, he did manage to stumble upon it and managed to keep possession. Into Leon Bailey. He's going to try and look to stretch his legs down this right-hand side. Can he try and feed a ball back into the box? Instead, he cuts it short into Matty Cash. Matty Cash now lays it off into Douglas Luiz, who strikes from distance. It was a good save in the end from the goalkeeper. Into Moreno. Oh, got caught up there by Zivakovic, and he can now try and drive down this right-hand side. He's got space to run into here. Has he got any options in the box? Not yet. Is he going to try and look for the cutback? He does. He finds Brandon, who gets it all wrong, and in the end fires a tame shot against Martinez, and that was a bit of a let-off for us. Knocks it down into the path of Nonso, but it's well intercepted by the right-back, and Zivkovic can go again, and he is overlapped by that right-back, who's going to try and float it into the box. Looks for the head of the striker. In the end, it goes straight into Martinez again, but the Greek side slowly starting to find their feet and come back into this game. Again, under a bit of pressure here, a lot of pressure, but he has managed to wriggle away from it, and he finds the ball into Wilfred Nonto, who's going to try and turn inside. He's done a really good job of doing so, but in the end, just overruns himself and ends up giving the ball away, but Tyrone Mings, pressing high, wins it back into Jimenez. Jimenez tries to give it back into Nonto. It's pretty much been the story of this game so far. We haven't really been able to carve out any clear-cut opportunities, but Douglas Luiz again wins the ball back high, and again gives it away. It's a really, really poor game overall here in terms of quality. Neither team really able to carve out any real opportunities as Konza ends up winning it back. Can we try and see if we can hit them on the counter-attack? No, we can't. We give it away as the referee blows for half-time. Well, I've got to be honest, it's been a fairly low-key affair so far. Neither team really stringed together any form of quality whatsoever so far. I guess it's kind of expected in the early ties of the Europa Conference League. But we are now in the knockout stages, and we've got to try and hope that we can do something a little bit better here in this second half, because we do not want to leave ourselves in a difficult position heading into the second leg. But at the moment, it's the Greek side that starts out the better of the two. At the start of the second half, it's Tazon into the box, well challenged by Matty Cash, and we breathe a sigh of relief at the back. Cash into Buendia. Nice stuff here, plays a ball into Leon Bailey. Leon Bailey again is going to try and see if he can use that pace, but instead cuts inside, finds a ball into Buendia, and Buendia now can try and drive into the box. He's managed to get round the defender, and Buendia strikes. Buendia scores to finally give us a 1-0 lead. Well, as I said before, neither team really, I've got to be honest, deserves to be in the lead. It's been poor all round. But Buendia will not care one bit. A fabulous run from the young man and a fabulous finish to give us a 1-0 lead. Konza to try and bring it out of defence and tries to play a ball over to the left-hand side, but it's well intercepted by Zivakov. But in the end, Tyrone Mings came across with a stern challenge. He can release Nonto, who can release McGinn. And McGinn now into Santiago Jimenez, who plays a wonderful ball into Nonto. Back across the box. No, it isn't, because he's just straight offside. Tyrone Mings. Nice pass over to Matty Cash on the right-hand side, and he takes it down beautifully. And he plays in Buendia, who can try and feed it through to Leon Bailey. Eventually gets bundled off the ball, though. And now the Greek side can try and see if they can hit us on the counter-attack. They've got a man over in Despovov, who can try and go past Matty Cash. In the end, he goes inside. They've got a real opportunity here into Samata. And out of absolutely nothing, the Greek side equalise here with just 5 minutes left on the clock. Look at the celebrations. They've made no attempt here in this second half to try and put the ball in the back of the net. They just put all 11 men behind the ball. And the one real opportunity they have, they make count. Martinez cannot believe it, neither can the rest of my players. What on earth is going on? Well, it was really poor defending. I think it was Matty Cash or Alex Moreno, not quite sure. But in the end, it was a nice ball in and we were just taken apart. A lovely finish from the striker on as a substitute. And Martinez, perhaps he could have done better. Who knows? But they've drawn level here. It's 1-1. Leon Bailey running into a bit of trouble here. So he goes infield looking for Douglas Luiz. I'm going to try and spray a pass all the way out wide to Wilfred Nonto, who's picked up a nice little pocket of space on the left-hand side and drives past one defender, two defenders, drives into the box. Brilliant stuff from him. What a strike. Oh, he sent it wide. That was the opportunity. And that man just cannot seem to find his shooting boots so far in his opening few games in an Aston Villa shirt. Well, much to my dismay, that turned out to be the final attack of the game. And my players seem absolutely shell-shocked. I think they turned up here expecting to absolutely steamroller the opposition. And as you can see, that has not been the case. That man Samata's goal was enough. Full time here it finishes. PAOK 1, Aston Villa 1. Well, there can be no denying that missed chances most definitely cost us here today. And whilst Wilfred Nonto again has showed some really bright sparks in the game with some fabulous dribbling, once again when he's in a position to try and put the game to bed, he isn't able to do it. And again, he really needs to find his shooting boots if he wants to try and establish himself as a main man in our starting 11. It was a frustrating performance all round though from the team, and it really stunk of a performance of players who are struggling to find match fitness, having not been regulars in my starting 11. Fortunately enough though, it is a European side that will be over 2 legs, so we will have another opportunity to try and put things right. Until then though, we're going to shift our attention back to the Premier League and back to a team who are fighting along with us for the final Champions League spots this season as we head home to Villa Park for what is going to be a huge clash against Tottenham Hotspur. And a huge game of course means a return to my usual starting 11 with Martinez in goal, Sacha Boey, Diego Carlos, Torres and Estupiñán at the back, Kamara, Tielemans and Ramsey start in midfield, Zaniolo on the left, Moussa Diaby on the right, and of course Ollie Watkins goes back to start up front. Oh, lovely play to get away from Udogie there, and he's really got away from him, and the Spurs defenders can't quite keep up with him. He continues to drive into the box, but doesn't really have any options, so he has to cut it back in the end, and that is a big opportunity missed. But Sacha Boey now has an opportunity to float it in. He does float it in, and he floats it into Ollie Watkins, who on the volley gives us an early 1-0 lead. Well, it was a brilliant piece of play early doors. I thought the opportunity had gone, but a fabulous ball in and a complete mix-up at the back for Spurs. Just gave the ball in a perfect position to Ollie Watkins, who still had a hard job to do to try and find his way past Vicario, but he did just that much to that man's frustration. It's 1-0 here to Aston Villa. Out to Doggy on the left-hand side, who brings the ball forward in that inverted role that Ange Postecoglou seems to love so far this season, as Højbjerg wins the ball back high. Spurs pressing us high just inside our half, and now it's Morata, the former Chelsea man, who has the ball. Back into Højbjerg. Højbjerg goes out wide to Jadon Sancho, who's finding himself in a Tottenham shirt this season, but now we can try and hit them on the counter-attack yet again. Moussa Diaby plays a wonderful ball back out wide to Sacha Boey. Sacha Boey to drive down the right-hand side, looked to try and cut a ball across to Ollie Watkins. Got the ball all wrong. It was a good piece of defending in the end from Udogie. Diego Carlos. Back out wide to Sacha Boey. It's been a really good start so far in the opening 20 minutes here for Aston Villa. And he's going to now try and find a ball into Moussa Diaby, who's managed to shift it onto his left. Again, trying to find a ball and an option, but no one showing. Tielemans will strike. Vicario with an outstretched arm to keep it at bay and go out for an Aston Villa corner. And it's going to be one that man, Moussa Diaby, is going to take. And he's going to float it into the penalty spot, looking for the centre-back. Diego Carlos only finds Kamara, and Diaby will have another opportunity to throw it back in. And this time Vicario makes it look easy. easy. Pedro Porro down the line into Morata, cutting a lonely figure up front for Spurs so far, and he's just about managed to keep that ball in. Plays it back into Højbjerg. Spurs looking to fashion their first chance of the game, and there is one man who they want on the ball to do that, and that is Maddison, but he goes and gives the ball away. And Stupinian now can try and drive down this left-hand side, feeds a lovely ball into Zaniolo, who's been uncharacteristically quiet so far in this game, but he's managed to find a bit of space here down the left-hand side, cuts it back in for Ollie Watkins, who strikes with his right. Another huge save from Vicario. Tielemans will now take the corner. We are ramping up the pressure here at Villa Park. Tried to fire it over to Diego Carlos, couldn't quite make it. Tielemans will get another opportunity though. This time he cuts it in for Moussa Diaby, strikes with his left. Vicario on hand to block again. This time it's going to be Diaby to take the corner, but once again I'm going to go for the usual routine. Tried to feed it into the penalty spot, headed away, only out as far as Maddison. And what on earth is going on there inside the penalty area? How on earth was that not a foul? I do not know, but Jacob Ramsey tried to get it away. I was going to try and see if I could hit it from distance, as he's scored a couple of wonder goals so far this season, but it wasn't meant to be. And now Spurs can try and hit us on the counter-attack with only 1 minute of stoppage time. Can they see if they can get an opportunity? Morata with the step-overs, looking for a ball out wide to the right-back Pedro Porro. He cuts it back in for Morata. Lovely play here from Spurs. Diego Carlos comes across though, brilliant piece of defending. He will hack the ball clear and the referee will blow for half-time. Yuri Tielemans into the feet of Moussa Diaby, who's done a wonderful job of turning round Basuma there. He really has the beating of him in this game so far. Looks to play a ball to the back post. And my word, that was some acrobatic defending there from Pedro Porro. He did a fabulous job, though, of getting that away, because if he didn't, we were certainly going to go 2-0 up here. But Pau Torres is going to try and look to bring this one out of defence. And he finds a Stupinian on the left-hand side. A brilliant start to this second half. But just as I say that, we're then going to give the ball away. And Kulusevski now can try and burst down this right-hand side. He's being held up. A Stupinian frantically trying to get back here. But the Swede manages to hold him off. And he's got the skills to get away from him. Lovely play from Kulusevski. Pau Torres tries to hold him up. He does a really good job of doing so. Fabulous defending from the Spaniard. And that cool, calm composure to bring the ball out of defence. Nice pass in central midfield to Kamaro. Finds Jacob Ramsey. Jacob Ramsey's held up though by Christian Romero. Now Maddison plays it out wide to Kulusevski, and again the Swede will try and drive down the right-hand side, but Stupinian is equal to him that time. Brilliant play, and now Zaniolo can stretch his legs down this left-hand side. Can he try and feed a ball into Ollie Watkins? Yes, he can. Watkins takes it really nicely and then blazes it over the bar. Højbjerg for Spurs, under a bit of pressure from the Aston Villa press, but manages to find his way back to Van der Ven, who's done a really good job of bringing that ball out of defence, and he finds Jadon Sancho on the left-hand side. He's going to try and feed it inside, but instead gets cut off by Kamara, and now we can try and launch a counter-attack of our own. It's Moussa Diaby to try and drive forward here, plays a wonderful ball into Ollie Watkins. He will try and strike. What a save. Well, how on earth is this game only 1-0? We have absolutely peppered the Tottenham goal all game, but somehow we haven't managed to find that second goal to try and kill the game off. But this time it's Moussa Diaby will try and pick it up, and Tielemans will look for the answer to strike from distance. Vicario is equal to it yet again. The Spurs goalkeeper has been in absolutely fine form so far in this game. Højbjerg. Nice pass into Sancho, goes central. Maddison gets it back, and now Doggy can go down this left-hand side. The first piece of play from Spurs in the build-up that has been really, really special so far in this game. But once again, we blocked them off, and now Tielemans can bring the ball forward into Ollie Watkins, who loses it to Basuma. Really poor play from the Englishman up front. Maddison, though, his fellow compatriot, brings it to Jadon Sancho, another Englishman, to try and bring it into the Spurs box. But Kamara has been an absolute wall. And just as I say that, though, he goes and gives away a free kick. A free kick the Spurs have in a very dangerous position that it looks like Højbjerg or Maddison are going to line up. It's a short one into the feet of Kulusevski. Was that an opportunity missed as Ollie Watkins feeds in a challenge? Van der Ven now has it. Højbjerg again for Spurs. They're trying to knock on the door here with just 5 minutes remaining. Maddison with a wicked strike. What a fabulous save from Emi Martinez. Oh my word, he was at full stretch, but he managed to get there. And now we can well and truly hit Spurs on the counter-attack as Moussa Diaby tries to bring the ball forward, drives into the penalty area. Can he try and hit them? Yes, he does. And with his weaker foot, just slides it past Vicario to finally give us that 2-goal cushion we have been searching for all game. Absolutely brilliant from the Frenchman. Well, it was a lightning counter-attack, and one that Moussa Diaby just managed to get away from tired Spurs legs. Vicario couldn't get out quick enough, and in the end, he just had the sense and the wherewithal to just slide it past him. It's 2-0 Aston Villa. And with the referee calling time on what has been a sensational game here at Villa Park, the Spurs players are crestfallen. I am absolutely delighted. I, as well as all of my players and the fans, know just how important that game was. That man, Ollie Watkins, getting the first goal of the game, and that set us on our way here today. Full time here at Villa Park, it finishes Aston Villa 2, Spurs 0. Our fine run of form continues in the Premier League and it gives us some separation between ourselves and Spurs. There's now 7 points between us and the 4th place team, and we are well and truly in a title fight now, as we are level on games with Liverpool. We're level on points, but we are well and truly in top spot due to our goal difference. My word, 10 games left in the Premier League. Could we do the unthinkable? Speaking of the unthinkable though, having only been able to manage a draw against PAOK in the first leg of the round of 16, I have taken it upon myself to sim the next leg, and it proved to be a fatal decision, as somehow, some way, we've gone from the highs of beating Spurs in the Premier League and being on a 4-game winning streak to going and losing in front of our own fans at Villa Park 2-1, and we have been knocked out of the Europa Conference League. Well, it was a cup competition I was absolutely certain we could go all the way in, but we've been left ridiculed and embarrassed, and my job has now been left hanging by a thread. The board are not happy whatsoever. My confidence rating is now down to weak. They expected us to win the Europa Conference League, and they expected us to win the FA Cup. We've not been able to do either of those two things, and it places so much pressure on my shoulders to at least get a Champions League place in the Premier League this season. But after bouncing back with a thumping 3-0 away win against West Ham, courtesy of goals from Kamara, Watkins and Zaniolo, we still retain our place at the top of the Premier League table, now 3 points clear of Manchester City and Liverpool in 2nd and 3rd place, albeit with both of those teams having a game in hand. But oh, how much our arch rivals Wolves will be absolutely desperate to put a huge dent in our title hopes this season. We welcome them to Villa Park in our very next game, and it's a game we'll be desperate to get revenge from, having been battered 2-0 at the Molineux earlier on this season. Of course, it is a return to my usual starting 11, Martinez in goal, Sacha Boey, Diego Carlos, Torres and Estupinian, Kamara, Tielemans, Ramsey in the centre, Zaniolo on the left, Diaby on the right, and Ollie Watkins starts up front. Nice ball out wide to Estupinian on the left-hand side, and he's going to try and cut back in, looking for Kamara, the central defensive midfielder, who has been an unsung hero so far in this season. He's been absolutely fantastic for us, and now Moussa Diaby, one man who really has been good, tried to line up a shot, got it all wrong though, but fortunately it falls for Ollie Watkins. Tielemans now has it. He will try and go down the right-hand side as Sacha Boey was covered off. Instead, doesn't really have too many angles, so has to cut it back to Moussa Diaby. Backs to the wall stuff here for Wolves inside the opening 10 minutes as Kamara strikes! Oh my word, it's off the post! My word, just as I was saying, what an unsung hero he has been. What a fabulous goal that would have been if that had gone in. But he's going to line up a second strike. This time it's straight at the goalkeeper. He is a man who is desperate to try and get on the score sheet here today. But my word, he was inches away from doing so just earlier on. Jacob Ramsey, though, this time tries to go forward. He's cut off, though, by Hwang. And now Wolves can try and see if they can hit us on the counter-attack as Cunha just manages to get between my two central defenders. And now Diego Carlos tries to come across to cover. Doesn't do a good enough job. Cunha strikes, blazes it over. Well, it's been an electric start here at Villa Park in the opening 15-20 minutes. My word, I can hardly catch my breath. Both teams vying for the opening goal here. Neither of them able to get it though, as Kilman brings it out, feeds it into Gomez. Neto now has it. This is end-to-end stuff here at Villa Park, and Cunha has just opened my defence up again. He strikes from distance, this time straight at Martinez, off for a corner. And it's a corner that man Cunha is going to take, and he looks like he's going to fire it straight into the box. He does right into the penalty area. Neto comes across. Almost gets ahead of one of my defenders, but fortunately enough, Martinez makes it look easy. Well, there's just something about Wolves that we just seem to struggle with here. After a bit of shaky 5 or 10 minutes opening to this game, they've really found their feet. And now, out of the two teams, they look like the more likely to score, as Cunha now has it again. That man is causing me all sorts of problems. But yet again, Diego Carlos was able to come across. And now he feeds in a wonderful ball into Zaniolo, who can't get away from Tapia. Wolves continue to press forward. Neto now has it in the box. Neto tries to put it onto his left, instead finds Hwang. Oh my word, Pau Torres gets there first. It falls out to Tapia. And this time, he can make us pay. And with 31 minutes on the clock, Wolverhampton Wanderers take the lead here. It was another piece of play, fabulous piece of play I should say, by the Wolves attack, and it was bouncing around like a pinball inside my area. We just could not clear our lines, and in the end, frustratingly for me, it falls to a Wolves player, and he makes no mistake from that distance. Fires it into an empty net. Much to my frustration, it's 1-0 into Jacob Ramsey. Jacob Ramsey trying to inject some sort of creativity into this game that has been missing so far from our side. Sacha Boey fades it across to Moussa Diaby. He cuts inside, looking for an opening here. Fires it with his left straight at the goalkeeper. Jose Sarr just manages to jump on the rebound. Tomato has it for Wolves inside the opening 5 minutes here in the second half. And so far, out of the two teams, it is Wolves who have the possession, and we're really struggling to get the ball off of them. As Semedo now tries to drive down the right-hand side, he finds Neto, who's been the danger man, fires it into the box, Diego Carlos manages to head it away, and Neto, though, manages to go past my right-back, and in the end, it's, well, have we given away a penalty here? What on earth is the referee trying to say here? Diego Carlos looks to the ground. Let's take a look at the replay here. I mean, it's a bit soft, you've got to be honest. I'm clearly frustrated, but it looks like Wolves have a penalty. Yes, they do. And it looks like Wolves are now going to try and step up and put a cushion here. It's Cunha, and Cunha strikes and Cunha scores. He does put a 2-goal cushion between the two teams. And just like the last time we played them, they have a 2-goal lead. This time at Villa Park, Cunha sends Emi Martinez the wrong way. And we have got an absolute mountain to climb here today. Well, I don't know what it is about Wolves, but they just seem to have my number in this career mode. We cannot seem to find our feet. So far, it's 2 games against them, 4 goals conceded, and none scored whatsoever. We've got about half an hour on the clock to try and find something, anything. But just as I say that, we don't give the ball away. And that has pretty much been a story of the game so far from us. Tomato. Infield to Cunha. Cunha has just walked all over my defence so far in this game, but Jacob Ramsey does eventually manage to intercept the ball, and he feeds in Zaniolo. Zaniolo goes in field for Yuri Tielemans. He's looking for options ahead of him, and he tries to cut it back to Zaniolo. In the end, we get very fortunate, and Jacob Ramsey picks up the loose ball, finds a Stupinian. Wolves defending for their lives here. A Stupinian trying to wriggle away from a challenge. He does a brilliant job of doing it, fires it across, looking for the header. Moussa Diaby. It does manage to come off the Frenchman. It's not good enough, though, and Jose Sarr pounces on the loose ball. Well, desperate times call for desperate measures, and as you can see, I'm switching to a 4-2-4 here to try and see if I can unlock what is a stubborn Wolves defence. It is going to be that man Jacob Ramsey I'm going to bring off. Jimenez is going to try and come on to try and give us some extra firepower up front. And we're going to try and see if he can do anything whatsoever to try and light a fire under this team. Because so far, we are just not firing at all. Tapia, the goal scorer for Wolves. He's chased down by Kamara, and that's a brilliant challenge from the central defensive midfielder. Ollie Watkins now to try and release a Stupinian on down the left-hand side. He's looking for a run. Can't find any. He's held up by Semedo, and again, Wolves do enough to try and block our counter-attack, but it's a wonderful ball out wide to an unmarked Sacha Bowie. He tries to go down the line, ends up losing it, and now we are exposed, and Wolves can try and hit us on the counter-attack. It's Cunha to dance around. I think it was Diego Carlos. He gets past Pau Torres as well. What on earth is happening here? It's into Neto. He goes past to Stupinian, and he makes us pay, and that will be that here today. Terrible, terrible defending all round. I was absolutely desperate to try and put a challenge in. I was smashing circle, and I was just doing it all too eagerly. My players just caught completely unawares. Emi Martinez is left frustrated. 3-0 Wolverhampton Wanderers. Down the line into Zaniolo on the left-hand side. He's going to try and cut back in, looking for something, anything, trying to find some sort of opening. Doesn't manage to find anything. It's hacked away by the Wolves defenders into Kamara. Kamara's going to try a speculative effort from distance. Gets absolutely nowhere with it. It's cleared away by the Wolves defenders. And now they're going to try and see if they can get a fourth. Nori down the left-hand side. We've just got absolutely nothing left. He just clips it into no one. Martinez is grateful just to carry it. And he will pick the ball up as the referee blows for full time. Well, it's an absolutely shocking performance from us all round. That man has well and truly got my number on this career mode. My players are absolutely despondent. That man, Diego Carlos, was at fault. He gave away a penalty that really set Wolves on their way. As at full time here, it finishes at Villa Park. Aston Villa 0, Wolves 3. Well, just as I thought our Premier League campaign was going exactly the way I wanted it to, it turned out perhaps it was too good to be true. A 3-0 win for Wolves means it's an end to our unbeaten run, and whilst we are still top of the table with Man City and Liverpool both having 2 games in hand on us, surely it's only a matter of time before we slip down to 3rd. And with Manchester City being the team we have up next at the Etihad Stadium to kick off the very next episode, it is going to be an absolutely colossal one that you do not want to miss. That is it for today's episode though. It's certainly been an up and down one to say the least. On one hand, we're fighting for Premier League glory, but then we find ourselves being beaten 3-0 by our arch rivals and knocked out by PAOK FC in the round of 16 of the Europa Conference League. And with the board not happy and the pressure starting to mount, things are really going to start to heat up as we head towards the back end of the season. But that is it for today's episode. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I'll see you again next time.